Hey guys, welcome back to another interview here on Toned In Entertainment. Today, I'm joined by a man that has been making his waves on the independent scene, but has got some awesome TV time lately as well, and that's Exodus Prime. How you doing? Oh yes, we got to go with the full name, right?
Yeah, the final boss Exodus Prime, the one up, you know what I mean?
That's right. Now, obviously, it definitely you have heavy video game influences.
Hmm.
And that's what actually attracted me to you because there's a million wrestlers out there, right? And
Yes,
you got to
sir.
have something that stands out. When I
Hmm.
saw you throw a Hadouken fireball, I was like, okay, this dude is a Street Fighter guy. I've got to learn more about this guy right now because I've actually got my, you know, my,
Oh,
my Street Fighter shirt on tonight.
yes, sir.
So how did you come up with the whole Hadouken, Ryu, Street Fighter influences in your wrestling techniques?
Well, I grew up on video games. And video games kept me out of trouble a lot in my youth. You know what I'm saying? So instead of being out running the streets, I was always playing video games. So a lot of my personality, a lot of my interests, like whether it's music, whatever, is influenced by video games. Um, so when I created this character that I want to be, I just it originally started off as almost like a metaphor of life because I've always worked a job, so I've always looked at myself. I want to work for myself. I want to be my own boss. So like it was almost a play on that kind of like say, I'm going to be the final boss of my life, of my destiny, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a play on that. And then I just incorporated video game themes into it. So I just try to build my move set off things I love in video games, like Hadouken or Shoryuken or even from movies, I do a Tony Jai elbow, like the jumping elbow that he does. It's a lot of other things that I do, but I try not to make it too on the nose because I don't want it to be lame and hokey, you know what I mean?
Right. No, it's definitely if you start doing a whole like Ken Ryu Chun Li thing, everybody's gonna be like, okay, dude, like chill out. But the way it's a smooth transition. Like it's when you throw out the Hadouken to somebody, it looks good. It looks like it's meant to be, and
Yes,
nobody
sir.
else is doing it.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. And I ain't gonna lie, like I kind of took it from a little bit from Kenny Omega. He was kind of doing it for a little bit. It was really like a decade ago, but he was doing it for a little bit. But and I saw it, I was like, you know what, it's pretty cool, and I just kind of want to make it my own thing.
Now, speaking of video games, you also do music as well.
Yes, sir.
And I saw like one of the songs that you have is actually called Contra Code.
Yes, sir.
So that definitely attracted me. I was like, oh my god, okay. Like who doesn't not remember up up down down left right BA. So like start right 30
Yeah.
lives, right?
Yes, sir.
And then in addition to Contra Code, there was another song called Hustlevania. And
Yes,
like as
sir.
soon as I heard it, it's like that 8-bit stuff. So tell me how you incorporate, your love of music, I'm sorry, your love of video games, not only into wrestling, but music as well.
Um, it's simply because I love video game music. So usually when I'm producing music and making beats or whatever, the sounds that always attract me are the video gamey 8 bits or the melodic or melodic, however you pronounce it, sounds that kind of remind me of like RPGs growing up, mainly Final Fantasy. So you know, when I made that beat, it was just me just hear, I heard a lot of sounds that I liked, and so I just wanted to go ahead and just incorporate that into a song. Um, and it's actually my theme song, my interest theme. Um, it's actually my interest theme because I was looking for a new theme because I had an older one, but I wasn't rapping on it. It was just an instrumental. And so when I made this song, I was like, man, like this is very video gamey, final boss like, but I also got that little hip hop swag that I want on it that I've always been looking for. And so I was just gonna put it on the album that I made, but then I was like, I can actually use this as my theme song because it actually fits my character really well. And so that's just kind of how that came about. Like most of my music sounds like video game music, and that's what all my friends always told me.
Now, speaking of albums, we're recording this on December 29th, 2022. I saw you're dropping a new album on January 1st, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So
So
what is that album? Tell us a little bit about it.
So this album coming up, it just I was going through some old files and I found like a whole bunch of songs and unreleased beats and songs that I've always wanted to release. So I pretty much found like okay, like 5 to 7 songs. I'm like, well, this is a nice little album that I can release, and these are some songs I've always, wanted to release because not only do they kind of play on that character that I created in the other series of albums, but it also touches on a lot of personal issues too in these songs. So, um, and I just write my music from a perspective of a either like a character that I create, because because I used to write stories and books, and then I started trying to make an RPG game. So I created all these characters. So I started to rap in the from the perspective of these characters that I created. For example, Victor Ville was the final boss in a video game that I was working on a couple years ago. And then Ace Vivid or Ace DeVille is pretty much my old rap name slash character that I was creating as the protagonist in this game. So that's what this new album is introducing, Ace DeVille. It just kind of like it's just trying to make a story with the music, similar to kind of like what Tyler Creator used to do.
Okay, is this from what I can find? I saw three other albums. Is this your fourth album now?
Yes, sir. So this is my fourth album. All self-produced. I also have three instrumental tapes or beat tapes out there. Um, but yeah, this is my fourth self-produced album, and this is like out of all the projects I've ever done, this is like my fifth project I've ever done. But the other projects I used to do were beats that were created by other people. But everything on these last three albums, these beats are created by me. It's recorded by me. It's mixed by me. It's released by me. Everything is done by me.
Now, much respect to you because, like, I grew up in the '90s. I love '90s hip hop. I love Wu Tang. I love DMX. I love Dre. Love all that stuff. And when I was in college, I thought I wanted to be a music producer, right? So I took a
Yes, sir.
class trying to learn Pro Tools, making
Oh
beats. And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I love beats. I know beats. I went in there. I had no clue how to compose a song whatsoever. So big props to you for like just having that skill to come up with these. Like the beats are raw. Like they're pretty damn raw.
Thank you so much. And that's the hilarious thing. Like I have no musical background actually. Like everything is self-taught. I literally like I use GarageBand, but I've also used other like Fruity Loops and Audacity. I also use Pro Tools also, but I mainly use GarageBand because that's what I started on with an iPad, and and then I just really just just messed around with it until I got good with it, and then that actually taught me rhythm just from playing with it and learning how to count beats and things like that, and learning how to time it and splice and adjust levels and make it and produce clarity and all those type of things.
Now, when it comes to music, I feel like, a lot of people take singing classes. You can learn how to play the guitar. Can people be taught how to rap?
Oh yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like out of everything, like rap is probably one of the easier mediums to learn because you just really just using your voice, and it's just so many ways that rap can be um can be produced. You have the mumble rap where people rap kind of fast and words mumbled together. Then you have what they used to call the talk rap, what they say Kanye West used to do. You know what I mean? So it's like long as you find your flow and your groove and your own beat, pretty much anybody can rap, and it's one of those things that all you literally have to do is put a song on and practice, just rap over the beat until you get good at it, and that's pretty much what I've done. Just used to freestyle with my friends all the time, and things like that, and he just eventually, I just ended up getting good at it because I wasn't good at rapping at first, of course, and I at first I didn't want to rap. I just used to want to write poetry, and then but poetry started getting boring, and so I was like, well, I want to put it to a beat, and I want to have a little swag or whatever. So that's what made me kind of move into rapping. because I can't sing at all. I
Okay,
can't
so you're
sing.
not singing the hooks on any songs then.
I mean, I do like the little talk sing that they do now, but like what I don't consider myself able to sing at all. I can possibly hold a note, but it won't sound good holding it. You know what I mean? So
Keep doing what you're doing then, right? That's
yes, sir.
okay. Now, your nickname is the final boss. Who was the toughest final boss in a video game you ever came across?
Oh man, that's a good question, man. Man, I mean, I guess if I'm being honest, almost every boss I've ever fought in like all the Souls games. I mean, to me, like every boss in that game is a final boss of every other game I've ever played.
Like the Demon
Uh,
Souls and stuff like that you're
Demon
talking about.
Souls, Dark
Like the
Souls.
entire game is tough. You don't even need a
Yeah,
final boss, right?
yeah, it don't even need a final boss, and yeah. So I love the games because I love the challenge, but I can only play them so much. I always get halfway through them, and then like I'm like, well, I'm not having fun anymore.
When you
And
start
then
throwing
I
the
was
controller on the floor, it's done, right?
Yeah, and then I would see YouTube videos of people beating it with like musical instruments and and I'm like, well, they just make me feel even extra sorry, so I just give up on.
It's done.
Yes, sir.
Now, I do want to quote one of your pictures on Instagram, and it's from the time that you wrestled on Impact Wrestling. It says, I just wrestled for Impact Wrestling. WTF is my life right now.
Yes, sir.
What was that moment like when you got that call or that email or whatever from Impact Wrestling to go and wrestle for them?
It was surreal, man, because growing up, I was a WWE mark, right? So
Mhm.
like honestly, I didn't even know about independent wrestling, until I started wrestling. Um, and I was only WWE, and so the main reason why I knew about like TNA and Impact at the time is because a lot of my favorite wrestlers from WWE would go over there. So being young, 14, 15, 16, me and one of my best friends at the time would purposely watch Impact just to talk shit about it. You know what I mean? Talk noise about it. I'm sorry, I don't know if I could cuss. Sorry about
It's
that.
YouTube. Go for it. Go for it. Go for
Yes,
it.
sir. Talk noise about it, but you know, actually being in the business and learning the business and just respecting everybody, and still meeting these heroes that I grew up watching, and it was just a surreal moment, man. Because like I started training when I was 27, so like you know, and I initially wanted to start training at 21. So being an adult, going through life, having children, going through marriages and things like that, it was always one of those things that I thought was far fetched. Let alone when I started training, like I thought I wasn't going to make it past 3 months. So from my expectations, from what I had starting out training, from not even expecting to make it through training to people telling me that they think I'm one of the best in Texas and things like that, to getting the opportunities to wrestle on things like Impact, and to have these people that I grew up watching just not only just watching me wrestle, and but also complimenting my wrestling, you know what I mean, and telling me I'm a good wrestler and things like that. It's just I don't I don't take a lot of pride in a lot of things that people say about me, you know what I mean, because it is what it is. But just to have your heroes tell you that you're good at something that you're passionate about and that you sacrifice so much for, it's just a different feeling.
What was that light switch for you that went off that day that made you go and at 26, 27 years old,
Yes,
go
sir.
train?
Well, because growing up, I was always under the impression that if I had to drive more than 20 to 30 minutes, that's going out of town. So usually most wrestling promotions would be at least about 45. I mean, not promotion, but training centers for me would be about 45 minutes to an hour away. And when I was younger, I didn't have the mentality to make that commitment. But one of my older cousins, he's an entrepreneur. He owns his own business, and it was just one day I was talking to him about my frustrations with life and my marriage at the time, and not feeling like I'm pursuing my potential. Um, I just had a talk with him one day, and one of the things that used to stop me from even doing the tryouts was that they wouldn't tell you the final cost of the training. They would say, pay this money to come do the tryout, and then we'll talk about that. So to me, that was always a scam.
Mm.
And so it was just that conversation with my cousin where he was like, well, I can't remember what the cost at the time, but he was like, what's $50 to see if this is what you really want to do? You know what I mean? Like you throw $50 away on lesser things, you know what I mean? Like you probably done spent $50 on fast food in the last couple of days. You know what I mean? So when he told me that, that kind of put a light switch, and then it was just, a coincidence, I believe, or maybe fate, that the training center I started training to actually moved 20 minutes away from me, was less than 20 minutes away from me. So it's like the day after I had that conversation, I get on Facebook and I see an advertisement for a training, because they listening, right?
Oh, they certainly are.
They listening, right? So, and I was like, well, I guess I got to do this now. And I told myself that if I don't do this by the time I'm 28, then I'm never going to do it. And I started 2 months before I started, 2 to 3 months before I turned 28.
Okay. What went through your mind the first time you walked into that training facility? Because I know like starting a new gym, right, is scary because you don't know anybody, you don't know where the weights are, you don't know what's going on.
Yes,
But
sir.
going to train as a professional wrestler for the first time and you look at all these people up there, the ring and everything, like what were your first thoughts walking in there?
First of all, like, wow, that's an actual wrestling ring. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I say, like, bro, that's an actual wrestling ring. I just want to go touch the ring and see how I felt and things like that. But when I walked in, it was, other people there for the tryout, just as, wide-eyed and nervous as I was. Um, it was just a feeling of like when I first walked, it was nervousness and excitement, but then, pretty much shortly after, I got into the tryout, it was like, this is where I was supposed to be. You know what I mean? This is the thrill that I've been looking for. So I feel like it was just meant to be.
Now you've been kind of crushing it on I mean, I should say kind of. You've been crushing on the independent scene. You were the first person to simultaneously hold the DFW title and the MPX wrestling title. What does, putting all that hard work in and then becoming a champion, like what did that mean to you?
It meant everything, man, because like I never played sports growing up. So like I never used to, get things from that. No, I had decent grades or whatever, but it was nothing to, brag about. So, and then just growing up, not being one of the youngest amongst my, family members, and also not being the only one that wasn't into sports at all. You know what I mean? It was kind of it was it was kind of hard with that because I wasn't into sports. I was always the wrestling guy. And once my family members fell off the wrestling guy, I was the guy that wrestles, and what I'm saying. So um just winning a championship and getting that accolade, just holding a title that like I grinded for, because I the all the training sessions, all the late nights, all the sacrifice time for my children, all the money spent, all these things, and not only just the hard work and the perseverance, and for a company to sit there and say, well, we want you to be our champion. You know what I mean? For two companies, that didn't have the best history with each other, to say, well, we'll both put a title on you simultaneously. You know what I mean? That was even a greater feeling, because I feel like me winning both of those titles, within like a couple weeks of each other. You know what I mean? Um, it was just like a combination of like, ups and downs that I've had within myself, but also just like I feel like it bridged the gap between these two promotions you know to know that we can be in the same area and we can work together and we can still be successful. You know what I mean? So I just that's just something I'm very proud of.
No, awesome. Well, congratulations on that feat. It's definitely great to see. Now when you're wrestling, you have great technical skills and you're able to move fluidly through the ring. You can hit somebody with a pedigree, with a cutter, with a brain buster. But one of the matches I really do enjoy of yours is a hardcore match that you had again with a friend of the channel here, Edge Stone.
Yes, sir.
Where you there was ladders. I mean, you got choke slammed through a water cooler. Like what goes through your mind going into a match and then like during and after a match like that?
Um, I mean, going into the matches, I always, laser focused, like, um, just laser focused, want to give the best performance I can, want to make sure me and my opponent are able to leave safely and don't kill each other, hurt each other. So I'm always those are the things that are always going in my mind before, but afterwards, just depends on how I feel about the match. Especially when I usually always have fun in my matches, but in matches like that, it's always like a bro, we just kind of like we talk amongst ourselves and amongst our peers about like the silliness or how something, you know what I mean. So it's always a mix of emotions, processing everything, just thinking about the match itself, my performance, thinking about what I can do better, thinking about, this and that. So, but it's usually always met with like, yes, bro, we killed it. It's always usually something like that.
Now let's talk about a little TV time because
All right.
the past 2 weeks, AEW Dynamite against
Yes, sir.
Wardlow, AEW Rampage
Yes, sir.
against Hook, or they might be vice versa. I think it was Rampage
Yeah.
versus Wardlow, Hook
Yeah.
on Dynamite. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 2 matches within the span of a week on AEW, not dark, which is great, but television.
Yes,
What did that
sir.
mean for? What did that mean to you?
I meant a lot, man, because you don't know if you're actually going to actually do anything when you get there. And so really didn't think I was going to do anything. And just to get the call that you are going to do something 20 to 30 minutes before you actually have to do it. You know what I mean? So it is one of those things to where, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean? So I was ready, but I wasn't expecting it. So it was like a big surprise. And then when I learned that it was going to be on national TV, I was like, oh my goodness, like, I made it, mama.
So it
I
was
made
like
it.
it was like 7:30 p.m. that night or so that you found out you were gonna wrestle Wardlow.
It was like 20 minutes before the match started. Like,
What?
literally, like, yeah, they're like, hey, man, you want to wrestle? I said, okay, cool. Thank you. Like, thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Go stretch, get something in. Oh wow, okay. I didn't
Yes,
realize it
sir.
went down like that. That I thought it was something like that you drove through and you knew, like, oh, I'm wrestling Wardlow tonight. No,
No, sir. Like I said, I was just expecting to be a guest, just to, mingle and shake hands, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I say. You always got to be ready. Always be ready, so you have to get ready because that's one of those opportunities that if I wasn't ready, then I probably would have been kicking myself to this day. You know what I mean?
right? No, of course. Yeah, you'd have got the security shirt that night or something like that.
Yes,
And
sir.
now there was a quote, okay, on Bleacher Report after you wrestled Hook, and it said, "The least effective transformer succumbed to Red Rum as Hook remained unbeaten." Now, obviously, they're playing off Prime, Exodus Prime, Optimus Prime. What did you think when you read that quote?
Oh, it's funny, man. Like like all of it's hilarious. Like the Transformer stuff is hilarious because for one, I didn't grow. I knew about Transformers. I didn't grow up watching Transformers, and it's hilarious because when I chose this name, it was like just like my rap name and any other name I come up with. It's just random. I like okay, I need a name, and then I just choose two names I like. So at first it was supposed to be Exodius Prime because I wanted to do like the Yu-Gi-Oh gimmick, like the 5 parts of Exodius, and so I was gonna make my career like I'm getting these parts of Exodius, so I can have like, so I can when I get these parts, then this when I make my career, that type of gimmick. But somebody told me that Exodius was too long, so I was like, okay, well, Exodus. I'm like, okay, cool. And then when I said Exodus Prime, I kind of liked the way that felt. It rolled up the tongue a little bit smoother to me. And so that's just how the name came up. It was just two random names that I like. And then well, I always like the name Exodius. I always like that name, but then it was just random Exodius, Prime. That's literally kind of like how it came up when they asked me. Then I was like, okay, that's cool, but Exodus is kind of long, make it Exodus. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do Exodus. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
So
it's like one or two letters, but I think just typing out Exodus might be just a little bit easier than people misspelling Exodius, right?
yeah. And I still get called Exodus by people too. So it don't. I guess I still got both names anyway.
Okay. Now, I mean, I know, professional wrestling, this is what you're trying to do. And I know you're putting in a lot of hard work and sacrifice. And did I see like immediately, like after you wrestled Hook that night, like you were back in your car driving to go to work the next morning, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like as soon as I was done my match, I went and changed clothes, got feedback, watched the remainder of the show, and then shook hands and got in my car and drove 4.5 hours from San Antonio to Dallas.
Wow.
I got home around like 3 o'clock and woke up at 7 o'clock to go to work. So but it's the life that we chose, man. Like it don't it is it ain't hard when it's something that you want to do. You know what I mean? Like I mean I drove 4 hours and got to wrestle for one of the largest companies in the world. Doing my passion. You know what I mean? So just driving for missing about 2 or 3 hours of sleep. That's worth it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. People ask me all the time, at my full-time job, they're like, how do you do all this stuff? Like, you're always doing interviews, you're always doing the stuff, you're always doing. I'm like, because this is not work. This is passion. This is what I love. I love to talk to guys like you and ladies like you that are coming up in the industry and really are putting it all on the line. And I feel like that's why I started the channel or the interview segment to begin with, is
It's
because
awesome.
everybody wants to talk to John Cena, everyone wants to talk to Rock, Roman Reigns. I'm like, there's so many talented people out there that have great stories
Yes,
that
sir.
nobody's talking to, and I'm interested in talking to
I
guys like
appreciate
you
that too.
and learning stuff like that. So I'm glad you took some time, and it definitely is. I love your passion, I love your work ethic, and I love the way you bounce in the ring too. Like everybody says, people got springs in their feet, like when you get power bomb from Wardlow,
Yeah.
like how does the bounce like? I don't know. Like I've never seen anybody bounce like you in the ring, though.
It's just, man, like I've always been animated and goofy and like a lot of I have kids too, so it kind of makes it easier when you're silly with your kids and you're not afraid to, look silly or not afraid to look like you're in pain or whatever the case may be. And so I love wrestling too. Um, so everything that I do in that ring, like I want to mean something, and I want people to notice what I'm doing. So even if it's a little bit over exaggerated, long as it's getting eyes on me and people are paying attention, that's what it's about.
I love it because there's a nice balance between like not selling or way overselling. I feel like you walk that nice fine line, but still get attention at the same time with, you know, the Wardlow power bomb. I mean, obviously, if that dude power bombs somebody, you should bounce off the mat.
Yeah, right. And like I said, it was completely a mistake, man. Like I don't like I mean, I meant to roll back, but that's why when I got to the back and people was like, "Oh man, that was really good, really good." I was like, "All right, all
I'll
right,"
take
because I
it.
just thought I did. I just thought I was doing. I just thought I just did what I was supposed to do. I really didn't think I was doing anything, like out of the ordinary. Honestly.
Now you said we mentioned the transform thing earlier today, and I saw you post pictures from I think it was like 2016 where you had a few more pounds on you than
Yes,
you
sir.
did today. Like, how hard did you have to work not only to get that off, but to get into the great shape and stay in the great shape that you're in now?
So, well, first it was motivation. Because before I started training, I told myself if I can't like lose 50 pounds in like 6 to 8 months, or then I won't. If I can commit to myself, I can commit to wrestling. That's what I told myself. And so around like late 2016, that's when between early December and mid February, I ended up losing 50 pounds in 2 months. And it was just because I got motivated and then I educated myself on, fitness and nutrition. And once I did that, I just kind of made a plan, found a diet I could actually realistically stick to. Um, I got, and I got, I found motivation to go to the gym. You know what I mean? Whether it's at first it was just to lose the weight to wrestle, and then now it was to be healthy, and now it's just now since I'm wrestling in front of people half naked year round, like I want to look the best I can look, you know what I mean, and also be conditioned to give you know great performances and get a crowd what they pay for. So that's where all the motivation comes from, and my wife loves it too. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many benefits not to, and then but with all that, the main reason I like going to the gym is because to me that's my me time. Like I can literally go to the gym and nobody messes with me. You know what I'm saying? Like rarely do I get people to come up there to ask me for like tips or anything, or just try to have conversation with me. So I can go to the gym with my headphones in for my hour or two, and I can lift weights, I can think, and I don't have to talk to nobody. I don't have to deal with nobody, and I can work on me.
Nice. Now, here in 2022, the BW 500 came out this year, and you ranked 284 on the list. What does a list like that mean to you? And where are you hoping to be next year on that list?
It means a lot to me, man. Like I say, when I got in this business, I I either expected to be out within 3 months or be a jobber. I'm not gonna lie. That's the expectation I had for myself. So to make it on these lists, because I made it last year and I think I was like maybe like I barely made the list. Maybe within the top, maybe like the top 480 type, maybe 484 or something like that. So to go up, almost 200 spots, um, is dope. And just to be featured on the list in general is dope because that means that people are paying attention to my work. That means I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? And it just validates, all the hard work that I'm putting in.
Nice. What would you say is like one of the biggest lessons you've learned so far doing
And
professional wrestling?
um, really just to be a sponge. You know what I mean, for knowledge. You know what I mean, like um yeah, it's something that you always gotta learn. You never stop. It's true in life, but it's especially true in wrestling. Like you never stop learning. You always learn something new every time you wrestle, or even just being backstage and just talking amongst your peers or whatever. You always learn something new. Um, and I guess it just made me be a sponge, listen to people rather no matter how what their appearance look like, no matter what their cover may look like, just open up and listen because they may teach you something. And even if it has nothing to do with you, there's always something you can take away. You know what I mean? There's always a lesson to be learned. And I think wrestling has taught me that because I applied pretty much a lot of things I've learned in wrestling and from training in my everyday life. And my life has improved tremendously from that.
No, that's great. Great words of wisdom, that's for sure. Now, AEW has a lot of factions, right? And I grew up loving factions. So let's throw out a hypothetical here, okay? Let's say the AEW said, Exodus Prime, we need you to start a faction. And you can pick any three wrestlers from any time period to join your faction. What three wrestlers would you roll with?
Just like in general,
In general, it's your fantasy, right? Have a good time.
it's gonna be it's gonna be Randy Orton, Kenny Omega, and AJ Styles.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because those are the three people that like those are my top three wrestlers that I mold like my style and everything around, especially Randy Orton. But it's those three wrestlers that I feel like they wrestle the way I like to wrestle. You know what I mean? So it'll be them because I know I can learn a lot from them, and and they just dope wrestlers, and they're all top wrestlers, and they all know how to tell a story. They all know how to be in a faction. You know what I mean? So
Right.
they know what it means to be in a faction, a real faction heavy. So I think that'll be a real dope faction for me.
Nice. I'm gonna grab Sting and the Road Warriors, and we're gonna go up against you four, and we'll have a
All right,
real slugging out. Now, what's in the future for Exodus Prime? What kind of stuff you got going on?
oh man, well, first and foremost, more and more wrestling. Like I say, I'm already pretty much like I've been wrestling every weekend since June 2020. I've only missed one weekend, and I only missed like one weekend, not being booked simply because of a cancellation. So,
Okay.
um, wrestling, man, wrestling. In between those times, I'm trying to perform music a little bit more. I'm going to continue to put out music. Um, yeah, man. Then hopefully in 2023, somebody can offer me a contract and I can show the world what a lot of people in Texas already know. You know what I mean?
Nice. Now, being a family man, wrestling, music, the gym, how do you keep up just the energy level to make it all happen all the time?
It's the gym, really. You know, the gym is really just the gym and the motivation to keep going. You know, like I know I gotta give time to my family, but I don't also I gotta put time into this. And so just like with working out, I work out on my lunch break every day. Um I then when I get home, I give my family their time. Um and it's just about it's just about learning how to manage time. And also it's dope that I have a very understanding wife that that supports me 1,000%. So it makes it easier, to be able to be gone and know I could come home to some peace. You know what I mean, and to some positivity. You know what I mean. So it's easy to manage when you have a partner in your life that supports what you're doing and enhances what you're doing. You know what I mean. So I found a time, and it's not easy at all or whatever, but I love it because before I started wrestling, I would go to work and just go home, and I had nothing going on. Like it was the most boring life that I could ever live. So, and it wasn't the life that I wanted to live. So, right now, everything that I'm doing is totally worth it. And I love what I'm doing, and I know that it's going to like pay off for me and my family.
I love that. That's great. It's like when you love what you do, I mean, I felt I went through a similar thing, before I met my wife. It was just like I was at home, I was doing nothing, and life was just not fun until I found her and I found this and I found everything. It's like, yeah, I could be busy all the time, but when you love what you're doing, it's
Yeah.
time in life is so much better. And you're
Yes,
definitely
sir.
doing that. And I love that.
Yes, sir.
Now I know you have some merch out there as well, and one of the shirts I really liked, it was like the purple remix shirt.
Okay.
Like what was the influence around that shirt?
The purple.
It was the
Is it?
final boss purple remix shirt on Pro
Oh
Wrestling
yeah,
Tees.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's the cause I want to take one of those Final Fantasy covers and put myself on it. So that's pretty much it. I think I took the Final Fantasy 8 cover and just pretty much um instead of having um Squall and Renault on there, I just put myself on there.
Okay. I was wondering where it came from. I was thinking like Raekwon's the purple tape or something like that,
Yeah, nah,
But no,
it was
it's from Final Fantasy. It's a video game, of course.
yeah, Final Fantasy, yes sir. I think Final Fantasy 8 to be exact.
Okay, perfect.
Yes sir.
Well, where can people follow you and let us know about the music, the merchandise, the Instagram, the YouTube, everything, all that good stuff.
All right. So yeah, Facebook and YouTube, just search Exodus Prime. I come right up. Um, well, put Exodus Prime Wrestling in YouTube because there's a couple people on YouTube that got the Exodus Prime name. They do video game like videos, so that's funny. So Exodus Prime Wrestling, all my matches will pop up. It's either somebody out there just putting all my matches like in a playlist. I'm like, well, appreciate you, brother. Like, or whoever's doing it. Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me at the_mass_exodus or search Exodus Prime and I should pop up under the handle the Mass Exodus. Um, YouTube, my music will be under my real name, Gayle Starks, and that's MA''Gayle Starks. You can listen to it on YouTube for free, but it's also on all streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, it's on everything. You can also add my music to your stories on Instagram and Facebook. So it's on everything. Just search Gayle Starks and I with the apostrophe and I pop right up.
Nice. Actually, when I post a picture of this on Instagram, I'm gonna find one of those songs and just put it underneath it.
Yes, sir. I really would appreciate that.
Oh, perfect. I didn't know that. I learned something new. Okay, that's
Yes,
great.
sir.
Now, any final words from Exodus Prime?
Just be on the lookout. Follow the YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram. I'm always posting where I'm going to be at, the things that I'm doing. And just just be on the lookout because I want to make 2023 the best year of my life. You know what I mean? If I can, and a lot of it's going to come from wrestling. Just hopefully getting the matches, working the shows. I'm trying to be everywhere, so just be on the lookout. Follow me, give me that support. Now I will gladly appreciate it.
No, definitely big things in 2023. I know you have a pretty nice support group because the nights after you wrestle, definitely Wardlow and Hook. Like I just saw you tagged in like so many posts of everybody saying how proud they are of you, of doing big things, and everybody's excited. You got a huge fan base. You're doing great things, and I can't wait to see great things in 2023 from
Yes,
Exodus Prime.
Thank you so much. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. Well, thank you for taking time. I know between all this and now doing an interview, you got to get back to your family. You got to get back to real life. So appreciate you taking some time here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate this, man. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And thank you for being, I always like to give a shout out to people who are professional, who read their messages, who respond to messages, and are on time for everything. And you checked all those categories. I think it's so important. If I could give you any advice, keep doing that because there's so many people that aren't professional all the time.
Yeah,
You're very professional. Everything that you did was on point. I couldn't ask for anything more to make this interview happen. So I definitely want to give you a shout out for that as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful night and have a happy new year.
You too. All right, guys. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Go check out Exodus Prime. Definitely the music and the wrestling, especially because big things coming in 2023. Yes, all right, guys. If you enjoyed this interview with the final boss himself, Exodus Prime, make sure you stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.